Welcome to the Get Trauma Informed podcast, dedicated to unraveling the complexities of trauma, its pervasive impact, and the journey towards holistic recovery and realignment. If your radiance has ever felt muted, like I and thousands of others, you're in the right place to reignite your inner light. I'm your host, Wellness Coach Liz Blanding, and this is the Get Trauma Informed podcast. Are you sick and tired of bad relationships? Well, let me tell you, today we have an amazing guest on our series of relationship trauma. And we have an amazing guest here today that's going to help us to understand how to put dating back in the box. I'm your host, Wellness Coach Liz Blanding, and this is the Get Trauma Informed podcast. I have an amazing guest, like I said today, Mr. Preston Wheeler. How are you, sir?
Hey, thank you, Liz, for that. I'm pretty good. Thanks for having me. And I want to give a shout out to Alonzo and my co-author. He did a great job, so I appreciate him. And how are you doing today, Liz?
I am doing well. I'm actually trying to keep myself contained in this seat because your topic, put dating back in the box. Man, I tell you, there's so many people out here that really want to understand how to have a healthy relationship. And from my understanding, you might just have the answer to that.
I appreciate that, Liz. Well, Alonzo and I are confident in what we put together to help put people on the path for a healthy relationship. And what we have today is we have a lot of people who lack character, social skills, and so forth. And when you're lacking certain things, you're not going to be able to have a healthy relationship. So what we have is, Put Dating Back in the Box is designed to help people put them on a path for a healthy relationship. And what we provide is that we let the public know there's resources available for them so that they can better themselves to be in a healthy relationship. For example, we believe that having good character, knowledge about what a healthy partner is, knowledge about what a healthy relationship is, as well as knowledge about how to avoid abusers and deceivers. We feel if you have these things going into a new relationship, that your relationship will be successful, because you have yourself fully together, and also as well as being healed from your past. So we provide in our book, these resources so that let people know that they're available to them. And Liz, what we see in society is, like I mentioned, and so many people lack character and social skills and so forth, empathy, selfishness, and consideration. And if you have these things, Liz, you're not going to be in a healthy connection. And matter of fact, you're not in a healthy connection. Yes. So what we provide is, our book provides a structured approach that we feel if you take the time to really get yourself together, heal from your past, seek out recovery groups, counseling, read books about recognizing your self-worth, read books about emotional intelligence, read books about character development, so forth. As you do these things, we feel that you will be ready and develop for a healthy relationship.
And that's why I thought when we connected that, wow, so this is amazing, because that's what our world is about. That's what the Get Trauma Informed, not just podcast, but movement, community, academy. That's what it's all about, is about working on ourselves first. Because that's what happens. You got to work on yourself first. Put your oxygen on first. And then when you come to the place where you're healthy and you have recovered from your trauma, and you've worked through these things, now you can, like you said, recognize when a person is not healthy and recognize those red flags. So let's circle back to something. What does Get Trauma Informed? What does that mean to you?
I would say, Liz, it means to me, basically, really educate yourself on how to overcome your traumas. Educate yourself on what's needed, the resources that are available to you to help you overcome your past traumas and issues so that you can become a better person. And that's what I would say Get Trauma Informed means to me. Awesome. Really, get educated. And this is what Alonzo and I are saying, and put dating back in the box. We want you to educate yourself, because if you educate yourself, you will be in a successful relationship. Learn the resources that's available to you. There's all types of resources. There's positive podcasts out here that presents positive growth, personal growth, and so forth. counseling, group counseling, recovery groups. There's all types of resources for people to really better, because what we see today and what we've experienced, what we see, Liz, is that so many people jump into a relationship, but they're not ready. They jump in and they expect a good relationship to evolve. And the reality of it is that's just not reality, especially if we're undeveloped. And if we're undeveloped, chances are you're dealing with somebody that's undeveloped and it's not going to go anywhere. So what we're saying is get healed from your past, educate yourself, put yourself in a position to better yourself, recognize your self-worth. There's all types of resources out there to get, because we all have suffered traumas, Liz. We all have. I don't think there's nobody that haven't. But recognizing the trauma, forgive those that hurt you, number one, forgiveness. But at the same time, see what you can do to learn from it and grow from it. Because there are those of us who've been through traumas and we didn't bring them on, we didn't cause the trauma. We were dealing with somebody who was hurt, they were hurt, and they projected their hurts on us. So in other words, it wasn't really you, maybe you that caused anything.
And see,
It's
that's why we say trauma is not your fault. However, recovery is your responsibility. And I want to circle back to a couple of things that you said as far as realizing, that's the first step. Our first step is becoming aware. And all the programs that we've designed, it's about awareness. And that's exactly what you're nailing home today, is that become aware. Now, CDC states that 70 to 80% of the population have suffered from trauma. And that means, and then 20 to 30% are supporting people that have gone through trauma. So, like you said, that is 100% of the population in some form, shape, or fashion have been touched or affected by trauma. Just because something happened to us does not mean that we have to stay stuck there. And oftentimes we stay stuck there because we have the veil of trauma over our heads, over our face. So we're not really seeing the full picture. And so what you're saying is once we peel off all those layers of trauma and get down to who we really are, develop that person. And as you develop, as you come into who you are, now you can recognize those red flags. You can, instead of enabling somebody's behavior and shrinking, you can now show up fully yourself, unapologetically yourself. And that's a blessing right there. So I love what you all wrote about and put dating back in the box, because that's one of the things, like oftentimes because of our trauma, we don't have the confidence. And so therefore someone's interested in us. I say this about myself all the time. My picker was broke. I went from bad relationship to bad relationship to bad relationship. It's like, wait a minute, I'm the common factor. But it wasn't that I'm put the blame on me doing something wrong. It was just me not recognizing, me not knowing who I am, me not having the confidence, me not having. I didn't even know the tools that were available. So that's why I'm so excited about this book, because tools available. There are so many tools that are available for us to promote our personal and professional development. But now we go even deeper to the traumas that govern our every decision.
Mm. And I like how you put that, Liz, and it's so true. And what we're saying and put dating back in the box is that we really want people to get themselves 100% together. We want you in a successful relationship. We want you to have a successful life. And it all starts with you building yourself. It all starts with you wanting to personally grow, being healed from your past, developing good character, developing knowledge, what I call relationship education, knowledge about how to be in a good relationship, knowledge how to treat somebody, how to recognize a good partner. But also, we want you to have knowledge about the world itself, because there's a lot of people out here that just don't want to change, Liz. We have a lot of manipulators, deceivers, psychopath, abusers, and they're living in their traumas and they don't want to be delivered from them. And we don't want people to get involved with these people that don't want to change. So we want you to educate yourself, but we also want you to get healed from your traumas, because what happens is if you bring it into a relationship, the relationship will go south because you don't have any empathy. You have triggers that you haven't faced and dealt with. You like character development. And if you bring these things into a relationship, that's why a lot of relationships are bad today, Liz, because we have so many people that are dealing with each other that are not ready to deal with each other. They're not ready to be in a relationship, and they shouldn't be in a relationship because you have all this baggage. So what we're saying to put dating back in the box is, educate yourself. Get healed from your past, get healed from your traumas, and there's so many resources that are available for you. Like your podcast, for example. There's so many positive podcasts. There's so many books and information for you to develop your character, recognize your self-worth, how to heal from your past, how to get over your trauma, forgive those that hurt you. But there's also books about character development, emotional intelligence. And once a person put themselves on the path and implement these things and build themselves up, Liz, we feel that you'll be able to obtain a healthy relationship and be in a healthy relationship for a long time. Because there's a lot of people in our society who are in bad relationships and been in them for a long time. Yeah. No healing is taking place, no personal growth. So our thing is, where Alonzo and I come from, we don't want you to live in that type of setting. We don't want you to live. We don't want you to live unhealed, your undeveloped character. You don't know how to love and show empathy. That's not going to help. That's not going to make a healthy relationship. So what we're saying is, we're bringing a different approach, Liz. We want you to get healed from your traumas. We want you to get healed from your past. Get educated about what a healthy relationship is. Get educated about what a good partner is. And like you mentioned before, I like what you mentioned before. Once you heal, you recognize those flags. You are absolutely correct, because once you recognize your self-worth, you'll know what to and what not to tolerate in a relationship.
Absolutely. It's those boundaries. You'll be able to set healthy boundaries. My question then to you is, what prompted you and Alonzo to start this project? Like, where did the material come from? Let's talk about some of that.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Imagine driving down the road, enjoying a beautiful day, when suddenly a tree jumps out in front of your car. Crash! In an instant, your life is flipped upside down, both physically and psychologically. That was my reality. I'm Liz Blanding, a certified holistic wellness and trauma recovery coach. In a time when, according to the National Center for PTSD, the epidemic of trauma is on the rise, 70% of adults in the U.S. have experienced some type of traumatic event at least once in their lives. That's 223.4 million people who could benefit from support on their journey to recovery. To address this, I launched the Get Trauma Informed podcast in March 2024. Our podcast offers free information, resources, expert advice, and stories of those who have overcome trauma and shifted from surviving to thriving. The podcast has the capacity to reach hundreds of thousands of people. I believe that by partnering with the Get Trauma Informed podcast, we can provide critical support to many more people who need it. Trauma was not their fault, but recovery is their responsibility. And with your support, we can help them to achieve it. Thank you for considering the partnership opportunity. I look forward to the possibility of working together to make a significant impact on trauma recovery. Email us at info@oasiswellnessctrs.com or contact us at 616-320-0703. Now we will return to our Get Trauma Informed conversation.
Good question. I like that, Liz. Well, I was motivated, Liz. I didn't want people to go through what I went through and looking for love. And, nothing against our parents and our environment, but a lot of us grew up in situations where we wasn't taught on how to really be in relationships. We wasn't really taught on how to relate with the opposite sex. So I got out here in this world, Liz, and I was in some bad relationships, but at the same time, I'm not innocent either. I started this project. So I said, based on the wisdom that I've gotten, to help people put them on the course for a healthy relationship, to get in a healthy relationship faster and not later. I got with Alonzo. I let Alonzo know what I was doing. Alonzo said, hey, you know what? I'll contribute, and the rest is history.
So what you're saying is lived experience, just like myself. Yes. For instance, that's why we do peer-to-peer coaching, peer-to-peer trauma recovery, because all of our coaches in our program have lived the experience. So it's a lot different when you've lived it and you have a track record of, like I said, for me, having a bad picker, and it was my trauma. It was my trauma. So as I started to develop and pull those layers off, I was able to now see the red flags and identify them. And while I'm working on myself, build my confidence. And that's what oftentimes, a lot of times we get into these bad relationships because there's still some things that we need to work on within ourselves. And we don't necessarily see it right off the rip. So that's why the work that you're talking about, the journaling, the self-discovery, the personal development, the listening to, if you're just utilizing your own mind as your own frame of reference, there's no new information and knowledge coming in. So you're going to keep repeating the same patterns over and over again. So that's another reason why I love your book and love the movement that you're pushing, because we're talking about put dating back in a box, because oftentimes we're jumping outside that box into a relationship and we're not ready. So it's like, there was a book I read a long time ago about two broke eggs. You're trying to make a good omelet out of two broke eggs. You're not going to get a good omelet. You got to go get a whole egg, a whole egg, bring that together. Now you got a good old omelet. Throw in some other ingredients and, and all that. Now you
Yeah.
got a good omelet, right? That's the same thing. We're trying to bring these relationships together, and we have unhealed trauma, and oftentimes a lot of that trauma is coming from our childhood and we don't know it. So we're making adult decisions, relationship decisions, life altering decisions based on skewed data, right? We don't have the
Mm.
right data coming in. So what you're saying and all these tools that are available, I'm really excited because I'm seeing a lot of great results, and I want to bring your book into our book clubs. We also have a pathway book club, and we talk about specific topics, such as relationships. We bring in different tools for us to just read through them so that we can hear those words in our own voice. Sometimes when you're talking to people, it's like want, want, want. But if they could hear it in their own voice by reading the pages of a book, that helps us to rewire our brain, because trauma rewired our brain to a trauma default. And now all of our responses are coming out of the trauma. So you got to go back and you got to do that self work. And you got to work on yourself. And then you can recognize a healthy partner. And now you can have that, what did I say, that healthy omelet, right? From those two healthy eggs.
Absolutely. I like how you put that, Liz. And that's the design to put dating back in the box. We want you to be in a successful relationship. And we want you to be in a successful relationship sooner than later. And we
Absolutely.
feel that if you get your character together, you heal from your past, you heal from your traumas, you forgive those that hurt you, you develop knowledge, relationship education about what a good partner is, what a good relationship is, but also we want you to develop knowledge about what to avoid in this world. Because we feel that if you do these things, Liz, you would obtain and be in a healthy relationship.
Yeah,
You won't.
yeah,
We see so many people in bad relationships because they haven't been healed from their past.
yeah.
They haven't developed any character or social skills or empathy. And when you're lacking certain things, you're not going to be able to have a healthy connection. And,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and we believe, Liz, that cohabitation is not a relationship. It's just not. You living together, dating, and all this stuff. But when there's no emotional, psychological, social, there's no connections there. That's really a waste of time. So what we
Yeah.
want,
Yeah.
so what we encouraging too, we want people to just kind of step back, don't jump in, really get yourselves together, go through the healing process, go recovery groups, counseling, therapy, see a therapist, a minister, read books about emotional intelligence and so forth. When you do these things and educate yourself and build your character as well as heal, we feel, Liz, you're putting yourself on a path to a healthy relationship and being in a healthy relationship for quite some time.
Mr. Wheeler, how has trauma empowered and inspired you?
I've been inspired because I want to be a better person. And I've been inspired too that I don't want to hurt someone else. So I said, so during this process, Liz, I said, let me, I've done counseling. I built myself up. I recognize where I'm wrong at. And I identified things in my past that has had me behave in certain ways. And once I identified these things, I went to work to better my character and better my mindset. But then I realized too, Liz, then for me, and I'm probably speaking for a lot of us, as we spoke earlier, the things that I went through, they were inflicted upon me. In other words, I didn't do nothing to the person or to the persons to deserve the treatment that I've gotten and so forth. So what I did was I said, so once I recognized that, Liz, I said, okay, so it gave me more of a peace and an ease. But at the same time, I still said, I still went to better I understood why I had certain behaviors and attitudes and stuff like that because of these things that I was going through. So I said, so let me work on these things. So I did counseling, and I still do counseling. I still do research. I still build my character up and stuff like that. I don't stop because I don't want to hurt someone else in a relationship or friendship. So I recognize that I need to be right myself. And if I'm right myself, everything will be right going in.
Looking for resources. They're looking for help. They're looking to change. They've identified there is something. As if I'm making the same decisions over and over again and getting the same result, that is insanity. I need to do something different. And change is uncomfortable, especially when you're looking at it through a trauma lens. You want safety, you want security. So oftentimes we get into relationships and we stay in those relationships because even though it's not healthy, it's familiar. So that trauma, that fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, being on that trauma response button all the time, that is familiar to us. So then we equate that to being safe, and unhealthy relationships are not safe.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for that. Tell us a little bit more about your book, and how they can obtain your book, and if they what are you up to in this world, and I was trying to say.
Well, Liz, I tell you, our book, what we provide and what we want people to get from our book is that it's a guide for people to put them on a path for a healthy relationship. Because it's a guide to where we let people know that we want you to get your character together, get healed from your past issues and traumas. We want you to get knowledge, relationship education, as well about what a good partner is, what a good relationship is, and also how to avoid the manipulator, the abusers, the psychopaths. This is what Put Dating Back in the Box is talking about. We want you to be 100% ready and prepared and have this together before you get into a relationship. And our design is that we want you to get these things, like I said, before you get with somebody. Because a lot of us just jump in and we expect a good relationship to evolve. And the reality of it is, Liz, that just doesn't happen. To be healed from your traumas and your past, but at the same time, developing good character and knowledge, to put you on the path to being a great person, to having a great relationship. And our book goes deeper, Liz. Our book can help foster good friendships and other healthy connect. Our book teaches how to really be in a healthy connection, how to obtain a healthy connection.
And that's good, because we're not just talking about romantic relationships. We're talking about, and relationships govern everything in our lives. I mean, we were designed to be in community, but we're saying being in community, but in a healthy manner versus an unhealthy manner. Yeah. So as we wrap up today, is there anything else that you would like to leave with our audience? I mean, we know about now that there are tools, there are resources available. We don't have to suffer in silence anymore by ourselves. So is there anything else that you would like for them to know about the book or about the movement? What you have there.
Liz, I think I would like our audience to know that we are in the shelves of 54 companies around the world. And our book is available on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, Books A Million, Walmart. If you Put Dating Back in the Box, put in the Google search, you'll see us. I have a profile on Amazon where people can follow me and get to know me. And I also have a profile on LinkedIn as well. And Alonzo's bio is on our retailers' websites as well, so you get to know Alonzo as well. So that's what I like our audience to know. But I would like to leave with our audience is this: you don't have to live where you at. You could grow. You don't have to suffer, like you mentioned, in silence. You don't have to live with trauma and insecurity. You don't have to. That's not designed. You are not designed to live that way. You were designed to be prosperous, successful, to be a blessing to others. So my encouragement is, we'll put dating back in the box. We encourage you, read about us, read about our overview. We feel confident, Liz, that our book will put you on a path to be healed from your traumas, to develop good character and knowledge for you to be in a successful relationship.
Right. That's amazing. Want you to be in a healthy and successful relationship. What a way to drop the mic. Mr. Wheeler, thank you so much. Thank you and Alonzo for taking the time to write such an incredible book and to give us a guide into how to get into healthy relationships. And I think that's the game changer right there. So we appreciate you and thank you so much for your time today. And thank you all for tuning in to the Get Trauma Informed podcast. We will see you all next time. Bye for now.
It's time to buckle up. No more suffering in silence. Our Power Pack journey to recovery and realignment starts now. Remember, you are collateral damage on someone else's warpath. Trauma is not your fault. Recovery, however, is your responsibility. I'm your host, Wellness Coach Liz Blanding, and this is the Get Trauma Informed podcast.